How are you? We're talking about evaluation. I personally believe that we build people before we build businesses. I don't believe in theory, because theory on its own is useless. Theory must guide practice. Right? If you come to see me in my office because you have toothache, if I tell you the reasons why you have toothache, and I send you on your way, does that help you? Okay? So I've given you the theory, but your solution lies in the practice. Okay? It is the practice that then relieves that pain. You understand? So I personally believe that as much as the Bible has a lot of theory, the challenge for most of us has been how do we then bring that theory into practice so that whatever has been taught can manifest as a physical reality in the present day. Okay? So, when we are talking about purpose, which is what we are talking about today, it's a very pregnant word. Okay? It carries a lot of meaning. Alright? When we are talking about the purpose of this chain, it's very easy. Okay? To talk about the purpose of the chain. So I ask you, what is the purpose of this chain? It's to sit. Right? But if I take that chain and I want to pick something that is at a higher place, and I'm using it to stand on it, has its purpose changed? Its purpose has not changed. What has changed? Its function. You understand? Alright. So similarly, human beings have the same kind of multifaceted manifestation of their abilities. And a lot of the times, we wake up because I'm a dentist, right? I do that every day. I've become very good at it, and I love doing it. Alright? When you see me in my office, and you see me in my attire as a dentist, it is tempting to think that is my purpose. Is that not true? Right? Then I remove those things. I get into my office. I'm having a meeting with my accountant. Now, I'm a business manager. Right? It is tempting when you see me excel there to then say, that is my purpose. Right? And then I leave that office and I come and I stand on this podium. And I start talking to you. Alright? Now you're confused. Am I a dentist? Am I a manager? Am I a public speaker? Am I a teacher? We are man. So, all those things that I'm doing, they are functions. They are offices that are functioning. Alright? But what is my purpose? Are you hearing this? Purpose is a much deeper question. It goes beyond the function. It seeks to answer the question of why am I here on earth? Why am I here on earth? That's the question that we're trying to answer when we start walking into that dimension of purpose. Alright? What is my purpose as a person? Okay? Have you ever asked yourself that question? How many have asked themselves that question? Okay? How many have found an answer Has anyone found an answer? No one has found an answer. There are so many books written about this. You understand? How to discover your purpose, how to do this, how to do this. So many books have been written about this. Okay? But it seems purposes remain elusive to many. It's something that we can wake up and stand there and say, this is my purpose. Now, if you don't know your purpose, what then becomes of the business that you are building? Because you have a purpose, but you are separate from the business that you are building. Okay? The business itself does have a what? A purpose. You understand this? The business on its own has its own purpose. Alright? But the purpose of the business in itself is an extension of your purpose. But now, how does the business then become successful when it's built on a foundation of somebody who is not clear about what their purpose is? How do we then measure success and failure if we are not clear? We understand this. So, we find ourselves in this place when we wake up, we go through the motions, we ask ourselves, what is profitable these days? How can I make the most money? Okay? In which business are the margins bigger? What was I trained to do that I can then sell as a skill? Others have gone a step further. They started asking, what is it that I'm passionate about? What do I love doing? Okay? Because they have made some money and they realized they were making money doing something that they don't actually love doing. And then they started asking themselves, what do I love doing? And sometimes at a later stage, they find somebody saying, no, I didn't even want to be a doctor. My father pushed me to do that. Now I feel this is something that I like doing. Alright? All those things. And the famous midlife crisis that we hear about. Okay? They are coming from the same place. And this is the place. Many of us are not sure about our purpose. Okay? So that is the reason why, in our pursuit of building a new generation of African entrepreneurs, the first place that we have to start is what? Purpose. Okay? I'm going to read with you something from the Bible. It's Genesis 11, verse 4. I'll read. The descendants of Noah multiplied across the earth, gathered on a plain in Shinar, and said to one another, come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth. Okay? We have read this story before. It is the story of the Tower of Babel. Right? The Tower of Babel, according to the historical presentation that is in the Bible, is the first global enterprise that was built. Okay? It is a company created by all the descendants of Noah. Alright? We have come together and they have said, let us build a tower. Right? And what was the reason or the purpose of building that tower? It was to make a name for themselves. Okay? It was to make a name for themselves. This tower, whose top is in the heavens, it was supposed to be a very high tower. Alright? Now, when we read further into verse 6, we find that God says, now nothing that these people propose to do will be withheld from them. Okay? Which means these people were united. Okay? These people were united. And they were actually successful in what they were doing. Alright? But as we read further, we find out that God stopped that work. Okay? He stopped that work. That work. Does anyone of you have a Bible? Okay? Okay. So, can you read from, I want you to read from verse 4 to 6.
Then they said, come, let's build a great city for ourselves with a tower that reaches into the sky. This will make us famous and keep us from being scattered all over the world. But the Lord came down to look at the city and the tower the people were building. Look, he said, the people are united and they all speak the same language. After this, nothing they set out to do will be impossible for them. Come, let's go down and confuse the people with different languages. Then they won't be able to understand each other.
Why would God do that? You guys are here, alright? This is the scenario. We are coming together. Guys, let's come together. Let's build a company. Alright? We're building this company because of two reasons. Number one, we want to make a name for ourselves. Who doesn't want to make a name for themselves? Can you show that by lifting your hands? You see? Everybody wants to make a name for themselves. Alright? The second thing that they want to do is they want to memorialize their existence. Okay? They're saying if we are scattered all over the world, alright? There will be no evidence that we ever lived. They're talking about something that's deeper. They're talking about legacy. Who doesn't want to leave a legacy here? Can you lift your hands if you don't want to do that? You understand? So why would God destroy it? Because we are entrepreneurs here. You understand? This is the first place where we have to start. Okay? Basically, God in this place is saying there is a right way of building and there is a wrong way of building. And this way of building is the wrong way of building. Okay? When you read the text, what you actually realize that these people were very skilled. Okay? They were competent. Alright? Skilled in their craft. many of you who have degrees, who are qualified. You understand? They were skilled and they were unified, working together well. So the problem is not that there was confusion. There was one problem. The problem was, let us make a name for ourselves. Okay? Let us make a name for what? For ourselves. It was selfish ambition. Okay? It was profit for profit's sake. It was tied to nothing else. Are you seeing this? Now, if we are to understand why this is a problem, okay? When we read into Genesis 12, just after finishing Genesis 11, where Babel is destroyed and the people are scattered by the different languages, okay? The same God who destroyed the work of others who wanted to make their name great calls Abraham and says, get out of your country and I will make your name great. Now this is confusing. On the one hand, the name is a problem. On the other hand, it is actually God who is saying, I will make your name great. So what is it about these names? Because if we are to start what we are doing, alright, we have to start in that place so that we understand why this is happening. Okay? So to understand what's happening here, we go back. Alright? When we go back, we are going back in the reason for the existence of men. Alright? After God created the earth, he then said, let us make men in our own image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every living thing that creeps on earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. He created them. Then God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. Have dominion. Right? This is what God is saying. He said, I have created you in my image and in my likeness. Okay? Image is how God looks like. Likeness is how he acts, what he does. So God being a creative God, he also wants you to be a creator. Okay? But he's saying you are creating according to what? According to my image. Alright? So after he had done this, he then took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to take care of it. Okay? And the Lord God commanded the man, you are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die. We know the story. We know what happened. Okay? The man ate of the fruit of that tree, and then God chased them out of the garden. Alright? When he chased them out of the garden, what then followed is a story that leads us to Cain and Abel. Alright? Where we have Abel offering a good sacrifice and Cain offering a sacrifice that wasn't accepted. Alright? Cain killing Abel. And then Cain being chased away again to one day in the wilderness. And his descendants are the descendants that we now see in what? At Babel. It's a pregnant story which I can't really dissect at the moment because it will delay me from where I want to go. But the purpose, the reason why God is scattering these people, He is saying, what you are building is not glorifying me. Okay? What you are building is glorifying you for the sake of it. Alright? Once you start glorifying yourself, what then follows is a lot of what? A lot of evil, because of the evil nature that's coming from the disobedience that has happened. Okay? So that is where all that is coming from. Now, if we understand this basic story, we'll then understand where we are going with this conversation. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. What is the purpose of a tree? Okay, let me make it very specific. I want it to be specific. What is the purpose of an apple tree? To produce apples? Is it correct? Okay. Why are apples important?
Nutrition.
No question about nutrition.
Yeah.
They are important.
They're important.
Alright? How does that say the tree?
How does it?
The tree. Because what we need to understand is everything under the sun is selfish. Okay? We have to understand that. An apple doesn't produce an apple for you. It produces it for itself. Are you understanding this?
Yeah.
So why does an apple tree produce an apple?
For the seeds.
For the seed. You understand? So the apple is good looking. The apple tastes good. Alright? Why? To attract you. Because you are the distribution mechanism of carrying that seed to distant lands where this tree will multiply. So you think you're getting nutrition because an apple tree is generous. No, you're getting nutrition because an apple tree is wise. It knows how to capture its market. Are you understanding this?
Yes.
The wisdom of multiplication is in every created thing. Fruitfulness is packaged in every created thing. You understand this? So, if the purpose of an apple tree is to produce a seed that can produce another apple tree, what is your purpose? Yeah? You're still working on it. Okay? You understand? Your purpose is to produce a seed that produces in your own image and after your own likeness. Okay? But where do you get your image and your likeness? From the God who created you in your own image and after his likeness. Are you getting where I'm going with this? So your purpose doesn't exist outside the one who created you. You are an extension of the one who created you. God created you in his own image and likeness. So he then said, be fruitful. When he's asking you to be fruitful, he's saying, go into the world and produce after my own image and my own likeness, that I have rolled up into this beautiful person who is now walking in the world. Right? So everything that you have is packaging that is carrying the seed of God, that is supposed to be deposited wherever you go. Are you getting this? Now, if I want to know the use of this tablet, who do I ask? The manufacturer. Okay? Because this tablet is an extension of what made it. It's the same thing that applies to things. So that's why a lot of the people that you ask about papers, they will get to this statement and say, I exist to glorify God in my life. Okay? That may not be complete, but it's a good place to start. Right? Because it informs how we build, it informs what we build, and it informs how we exercise dominion in our areas of vocation. Okay? So, I am going to introduce you to a tool that I have called the Entrepreneur's Journey of Enlightenment. I also call it the Purpose Enlightenment Journey. It represents the progressive awakening and the formation of an entrepreneur from the discovery of purpose to the stewardship of legacy. Okay? Because if we're saying that we need to discover our purpose, there must be a framework that allows us to walk this path, okay? And to actually get to a place where we think clearly about what we want to be doing. So, a lot of the times, when things do happen, they happen accidentally, right? Someone wakes up, they start a company, they think, all right, look, I just tried this business idea and then it becomes successful, and eventually, they're a millionaire, okay? Then after some time, because they have this money, they just say, I think I need to start a foundation and start paying for orphans, their school fees and their upkeep and things like that, all right? And then they start doing that. And by the time that they die, they are remembered, not by the company that they did, but by this work that they did. Alright? And if you ask them, they say, I think the purpose of the money was what? Was for this. Alright? But we have to get to a place where we find out how we structure that. Because if we are not sure about how that journey is supposed to unfold, we end up making accidents along the way. Alright? The reason why I talked about the Tower of Babel when I started was because I wanted to show you that most of the structure that we see in the enterprise to this day takes after the Babel kind of enterprise building. Alright? If you look at the way capitalism is structured, you will see that people are building their own names. Alright? And they are amassing all this wealth. And then they're saying, all right, look, I'm leaving this to my children. Whatever is happening wherever in whatever corner, I don't care. As long as I'm a billionaire, as long as I'm a millionaire, as long as I'm living my life and everything is fine. Even if others are studying, it's none of my business. They're just not working hard enough. You understand? But there's a reason why God gives you that kind of money. There's a reason why you get that kind of success. So that's what the Enlightenment journey is supposed to help us do, because there are levels that I want us to understand. Okay? The first level is purpose. I want you to write this down on one side, because I'm going to give you something in front of it and something else in front of it. Okay? So there's purpose. That's on this first level. The second level is vision. The third level is mission. The fourth level is values. The fifth level is principles. The sixth level is processes. The The 7th level is procedures. The 8th level is practice. The 9th level is performance. The 10th level is profit. And the last level is legacy. Okay? Alright. Purpose, vision, mission, values, principles, processes, procedures, practice, performance, profit, and legacy. Okay. Got that right? Okay. So purpose asks one question. Why do I exist? And the primary outcome of that question is meaning. When you know your purpose, everything that you do is a what? It has a meaning. Alright? The reason why we are looking for purpose is because we want to find meaning for the things that we do. If I'm selling phones, yes, I'm selling phones. But after everything is said and done, what is the meaning of all this? Okay? Vision asks, what future am I called to create? And answering that question gives you hope. Principles ask, what truths govern my decisions? That gives you wisdom. Okay? So, that's 5 intangibles, and then we go to the tangibles, which are the processes. Alright? How should I in my enterprise operate? That is processes. That gives you order. Procedures, how should work be performed? These are individual tasks. That gives you consistency. Practice, what do we repeatedly do? And that gives you excellence. And then performance asks, how well are we fulfilling our mission? That gives you effectiveness. And profit, what value have we created? That helps with sustainability. And then the last one is legacy. What remains after them? That's the marker of stewardship. Okay? So, people start businesses from anywhere here. The easiest place to start a business is a mission. Okay? That's the easiest place to start a business. Alright? When you are starting a business, I'll give you an example of Facebook. When Facebook was created, they just created a website that was connecting people across campus. Okay? And after some time, they realized that there was demand for this platform. Okay? So they started getting better at connecting people. Alright? So if you look at Facebook's mission, when it started, its mission was to connect the world. Alright? That is the mission that has driven Facebook to where it is today. That is the mission that led Facebook to buy WhatsApp. Why? Because WhatsApp was connecting what? The world. They bought Instagram because what? Instagram was connecting the world. They tried to buy Snapchat. Why? Snapchat was connecting the world. Are you understanding this? Alright? So that was their mission. So the easiest place for any entrepreneur to start a business is to find a mission that you're willing to pursue. That's the easiest place to start. So a lot of the times, we may think just because I don't know my purpose, I cannot start a business. No, you can actually start a business. Alright? If you find a mission, okay, that you're willing to dedicate your life to, that is in line with what you're passionate about, you can go with that, and you can actually build a successful enterprise. Alright? But I'm calling this a journey from purpose, going all the way to legacy, because sometimes it's actually a cycle. So if you start building that mission, and you still haven't discovered your purpose, what you're going to find is going to happen is you build all these things, and after the company is successful and you make profit, you are thinking of legacy, and you say, what remains after me? Alright? When you ask yourself that question, at the end of your life, most people then ask, why was I actually here? That's why you see people like Bill Gates after having made all that money. Alright? They then start giving it away because they are now saying that, look, I have all this money. Alright? But why did I actually make all this money? Mainly because we will develop this. So I'm going to take all my money, I'm going to put it in the UN, in the Gates Foundation, which is now the Gates Foundation because of the divorce, and then they start giving away that what? That money. So philanthropy is rooted in a search for significance. It's an endeavor to find an answer. Why does all this matter? Okay? Why did I become this successful? Alright? So even if you have built a successful business, you find you always come back to what? You always come back to purpose. Alright? So, usually before God gives a person something to build, He reveals the reason they were created. Okay? I did not say usually when someone builds something, God reveals the reason why they were created. I say when God gives someone something to build, He reveals. And you understand this? So, because we are saying that God is the one who reveals, you have to acknowledge that you don't know your purpose and He has to reveal it to you. Alright? So the easiest place to start when you don't know your purpose is to ask. You understand? But you have to believe in God to actually do that. Okay? I'm going to give you 4 definitions of purpose. Alright? I'm going to move fast here, so I want you to listen. You may not be able to hear everything, but I think when you get the video, you'll then be able to look at these things. Okay? The first one that I'll give you is the naturalistic one, which is the existentialist definition, which says purpose is a self-created meaning or objective that individuals choose for themselves because life is no inherent or predetermined purpose. Okay? This is the existentialist definition. Alright? It doesn't acknowledge God. It says, I create my own purpose. Okay? Then the humanistic one, it says purpose is personally chosen, is the personally chosen pursuit of fulfillment, growth, contribution, and realization of one's potential in service of oneself and others. Okay? This one is saying what I choose to do. Okay? And I do it well. That is what? What becomes my purpose. Alright? Then there's what is called the teleological definition, which says purpose is the natural end, goal, or function towards which a person or thing is inherently directed according to its nature. Okay? And the last one, which is what I call the apostolic definition, is purpose is the God-created intent, the God-intended reason for which a person, object, institution, or nation was created. It is discovered, not invented, and gives meaning to existence by directing every given opportunity, relationship, and responsibility toward the fulfillment of God's design and advancement of His kingdom. So, Mary Carter frequently teaches that purpose is something we invent, that we can find, that we can just bump into, alright? But if we are looking at where we started, and like I say, I'm a Christian, so I look at things through that lens, alright? But I also happen to be an entrepreneur, so I love the practicality of some of this knowledge, alright? So that I take those things and apply them to business, so that at least I can find success by applying those things. So we have all this, and because my worldview is God-centered, I know that purpose can be discovered. Alright? But discovery is only happens when you're searching, when you're trying to find something. Okay? I personally believe that God has the capacity and ability to tell everyone their purpose. Alright? But I also acknowledge that God will not tell everyone their what? Their purpose. Okay? I'll go to Moses. The children of Israel are to be taken out of Egypt. Okay? He doesn't show up in a crowd. He shows up to what? One person. Okay? That person tells the whole group that guys, look, we have to leave and we have to go. This is what we have to do. Alright? Sometimes your purpose is functioning together with somebody that God has revealed their purpose to. And by working with them, you can then get to discover yours. Alright? God did not speak to Aaron. He spoke to what? To Moses. It was Moses who then invited Aaron in. Okay? Because he said, I'm not confident enough to speak, I stand. So Aaron came in, but he was the first in the line of priests in Israel. And his family's purpose was that. Now, God doesn't do anything by accident. Aaron's purpose was always what? No. Okay? But because God revealed his purpose to Moses, we find Miriam discovering her purpose. We find Joshua discovering his purpose. Okay? We find different people discovering their purpose. So sometimes you can discover your purpose by aligning your life to someone who is clear about where they're going. And in that process, you can then find yours. Are you understanding this? So, in as much as I am saying that God will tell you when you ask Him about your purpose, we also have to acknowledge that sometimes we may not hear directly from Him. Okay? But what we do is because we are rational beings, we have things that we're passionate about, we have things that we're searching for. So a search for your purpose sometimes will lead you to a search for knowledge that you're doing. Alright? And eventually through that search for knowledge, you then discover something more. Are you understanding this? You get that, right? Yes. So those are some of the things that we need to understand, okay? Alright. So the Apostle Paul writes that believers are created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared them to do in advance. So that means your life is not an accident. Okay? So if you don't know your purpose, the first place to start, okay, is by looking at things that you do. You ask yourself, what do I want to do? Alright? I want to do this. Then once you've said this is what I want to do, or this is what I am doing, the next thing is you then say, so where does God factor in here? Are you understanding this? Because if you say this is what I want to do, and you don't factor in God, chances are you will never find what your purpose is. Okay? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Because the Bible says, let's make a name for ourselves. God destroys them. And he then asks, where am I? That's the reason why he's destroying what? That. Okay? So you need first of all to say, where is God in this? In everything that you are doing, where is he there? But that happens only if you believe that he created you. If you don't believe that he created you and you just came by through what Darwin terms evolution or whatever, alright? Then you have the naturalist view that I gave you, you have the humanist view that I gave you. Alright? I can't help you with that. Because I believe that the other way is the way that what? That's easy. Okay? If we say let's go to town now, and there's a car outside, and they say let's go jump into that car, and others say no, I want to walk, I can't force them to get into the car. But it doesn't mean they won't get into town. The difference is it might just be harder for them. It might be slower for them. Alright? But they'll still get there. Are you understanding this? So, it doesn't mean that through the other routes you will not find purpose. You may find what? You may find the purpose. But it may be what? It may be slow. Okay? So, purpose produces the first outcome in the chain of enlightenment. It produces meaning. That's something that I gave you already. Okay? Now, what is meaning? Meaning is the sense that one's life is understandable, significant, and directed towards worthwhile goals. That is meaning. Alright? When you find meaning, you have a reason to wake up every day. Okay? The reason why we do most of the things that we do is because if I wake up and go to work, I'll get school fees for my children. So work has meaning because it's helping you take care of your children. So as long as your children are going to school, you have meaning. You wake up every day. The problem comes when they are all gone. Alright? You know they have children that are going to school. Do you still have a reason to wake up? No. The reason is gone. We're waking up because you wanted your children to go to school. Now they're all waking. You have no reason to leave. That's why most of us Africans are dying. You understand? We never found our purpose. We put all our reasons for existing in raising our children. Okay? And once all our children graduate or they got married, the next thing that we say is, I think let's go to the rural areas. I'm going to retire and I'm going to live there. Then you go, you become a Madara or sitting there, and that's the end of life. This is the kind of life that we are living, because our meaning is tied to responsibilities that we do. Okay? But, like I said, we are called to create in our own image and after our own likeness. If an apple tree produces a seed that produces another apple tree, that means something. Right? What it means is, if an apple tree is defective, if its seeds are defective, it will produce a defective seed, which will produce a forest of defective apple trees. Are you understanding this? Okay? So, the place to start, if we are to fix this forest, is by fixing the seed. Okay? If you are producing after your likeness, okay, and you are not seeking knowledge, you are not improving yourself, you are not developing yourself, what you're going to produce will come in your own image and after your own likeness. So what will you produce? Children who are not seeking knowledge, children who are at the level or below the level of your own enlightenment. Okay? And we'll have a generation of ignorant people. I said last week that Africa is not poor because we don't know how to start businesses or how to create. Okay? We are poor because we were actually never taught to do that. Alright? We were actually never taught to do that. We colonized for 100 years, our civilization was disrupted. For 100 years, we were conditioned to be workers. Okay? After being conditioned to be workers, we then decided, no, we need to fight for our independence. And we started fighting for our independence. And then, when we got independent, nobody taught us to start businesses. Okay? We had a system that was teaching us, go to school, get a job. Okay? When you get a job, you will make some money. When you get into a company, stay there, be diligent. Okay? Make sure you go up, that's how you get rich. We never asked how are these companies formed. We just wanted to get into the system because we didn't understand the system. Alright? So, because we have a generation that has been raised to this level of enlightenment, our children must get degrees. When they get degrees, they get employed. Every parent sends their children to school. Get an education. When you are done, get a degree. Get employed. But the jobs are nowhere. By 2050, we have 2.5 billion Africans in a continent that doesn't have jobs. Why don't we have jobs? We are producing after our image, after our likeness. As long as we produce workers on this continent, we are going to be poor. We are going to be confused. Because these people don't know how to create employment. They know how to be employed. Xenophobia in South Africa is not a result of hatred. It's a result of confusion. People at their houses, at their home, feeling useless. Because they are unemployed and they don't know what to do. So what do? They take somebody who looks like them. You are the reason why I am poor. You are the reason why I don't have a job. Because why are you working in my country and I am not working? We are producing after our own image and after our own likeness. In the rise of Africa will come when we start producing a different kind of destiny. One will say, no, our education is not meant to be used to find jobs. It's meant to be used to find solutions, to create platforms that accommodate others, to build industries where others can come in. Now, if we start teaching each other to do that, and training each other to do that, what are we doing? Uplifting our level of enlightenment. And at that level, we are going to produce after our own image and likeness. Are you understanding? So, what we need to do for Africa to rise, for Africa to grow, is to raise our level of enlightenment to a place where we discover and where we say, no, look, we cannot continue getting children through a system that's channeling out employees. But we build a system that's producing entrepreneurs, people who can build companies. You understand this? So, entrepreneurship must be a part of our curriculum at every level. Because when we do that, meaning changes. Okay? Because what we are appending with the current education system is meaning. A degree in medicine means I'm going to be a doctor. But if we append entrepreneurship to it, a degree in medicine means I am going to open a business in the medical field. I'm going to open a hospital. I'm going to open a laboratory. I'm going to open this. You understand? Meaning is what? Has changed. But what changes first is the purpose that we're using education for. So purpose gives what? Meaning. Okay? So a lot of the times, some of the challenges that we are fighting are challenges that are tied to an unclear purpose. Okay? So you need to be very deliberate about this. You need to start asking yourself, what is my purpose? Okay? I said the first place where we start is what? We ask. Okay? That's the first place where we start. What is my purpose? You need to ask yourself that question every day. Alright? Until you what? You get an answer. Alright? I'm not saying God is going to speak to you from the clouds. That's not what I'm saying. Alright? But like I said last week, you will never find what you're not what? Looking for. Alright? If I say there's a cage of gold in this room, alright? If there's a cage of gold in this room, and I hide it somewhere, alright? You all come in here and you go out without even knowing that what? It's here. But the minute that I tell you that there's a cage of gold in this room, you will not leave anything untamed here until you find what? You find the gold. Okay? So, the reason why you ask what is my purpose every day is because you are going to start examining everything that is happening in your life. Okay? When that accident happened, why did I not die? What is my purpose? When everybody failed that exam, why did I pass? What is my purpose? I came from Chiendamwe in a class of 56 people. I'm the only one that went to university. Why did that happen? What is my purpose? I failed all my subjects. But my life is better than those who passed. I have a job. Those who have degrees don't have a job. What is my purpose? You understand? When you start examining your life like that, inevitably you're going to find the solution. You're going to find the revelation of your purpose. Okay? You will never find what you're not what? What you're not looking for. I don't like snakes. Okay? So even if you're going to come with a very exciting business opportunity, and it involves snakes, I'm not going to be a part of it. Are you understanding this? Because I can't wake up every day, alright, and work with snakes. I don't like them. So even if it's a multi-million-dollar business, I know myself. That's the same thing for all of us. You things that are genuinely passionate. Okay? Things that you love doing. When you wake up at night, you have things that you say, all right, if I had money, this is what I would do. Okay? Those things are closer to your purpose. But the first place you start is what? You ask. What is my purpose? The other thing is, purpose is a living truth. You understand? Purpose is like a tree. It is always singular, but it has many branches. I'll say that for now, because I have to continue. But I'll leave you with that for now. Now, so you need to set aside some time to reflect and to journal and to pray and think about this question. What is my purpose? Because that's where your enlightenment what? Starts. Okay? We are discovering purpose. This is the journey of enlightenment. Okay? Alright. The second stage is vision. Purpose asks, why do I exist? Vision asks, what future am I here to create? Vision is a clear and compelling picture of a preferred future that guides your decisions, inspires your action, and unites people towards a common goal. My vision is to build a better Africa, an enlightened Africa, powered by enterprises, built by its entrepreneurs, unified by this one purpose, to build lasting enterprises on this continent that are passed from one generation to the next. That is my vision. Are you understanding this? Now, if that is my vision, it informs what I do. Okay? I told you what I believe my purpose is, what my vision is. Okay? Because this is what I believe. What is the next logical thing to do? To train entrepreneurs, to be better entrepreneurs. Are you getting this? Alright? Now, if I'm going to train entrepreneurs, because I actually love doing this and I believe this is where my purpose lies, I want to try to train everyone who wants to be an entrepreneur. How do I train everyone? I don't charge for it. Are you getting this? Alright. Now, you can only do that if you know your purpose. The mission is guided by the purpose. Okay? Because you have a picture that you have. Alright? You have a vision that you have that is clear. It then guides the next steps that you're going to what? That you're going to take. Facebook has been free for how long? Has anyone of you ever paid for Facebook? You have never paid for Facebook. Alright? Because they have a vision. And the vision is they want to connect 7 billion people. That's the vision. If they start charging, they lose all of us Africans. We don't want to pay for things. Even if they start charging for $1, they'll lose us. We don't like paying for those things. We'd rather write letters. You understand? They know that. And you know what they've been doing? Experimenting with a lot of things. Okay? Facebook, Google, they are the ones who have been investing in data cables connecting Africa to the rest of the world. They invested billions of dollars in that. Okay? Why are they doing that? Why are they putting satellites into space to provide free internet? They want to connect 7 billion people. So, when you have a vision that is clear, alright, it informs the decisions that you make. It informs the mission. Alright? You open a shop and you'll be selling phones, someone will put a markup that is 2 times what they bought that phone for. You open yours, you charge 30%, it doesn't matter the value of the phone. Why? Because you actually want to know people access these phones. It informs your decisions. Alright? So, when purpose gives life meaning, vision gives life direction. Okay? So we have moved from meaning to direction. Okay? Why am I here? Now we then ask, where am I going? Okay? Where am I going? Because when you have a vision, it gives you hope. Even if you're doing something that everybody looks at and say, this is actually crazy, you can't do this, it's not sustainable. People told Mark Zuckerberg that you can't give this thing for free. And he said it's going to be free. He made it free until he found a business model to sustain it. But the business model doesn't include you paying for the product. He then said, look, now that I have all these people who are on my platform, who are using this thing for free, how do I make money? Oh, there are people who want to advertise to these people. Let me sell advertising to them so that they give me the money to continue doing this for free. Spent more than 10 years without turning a profit. Getting money from investors to pump into this thing and to do this thing. Because he had hope that one day this thing will be sustainable. One day I will have an answer of how to monetize this thing. Okay? So, vision gives you direction. It then produces hope. And hope is the confident expectation that what God has revealed is worth pursuing, even when present realities appear to contradict it. Okay? Entrepreneurship is hard. There are so many setbacks. You wake up, you don't have the money to fund the things that you want to do. It's month and you don't have salaries to pay your employees. You can't even pay the landlord because you haven't made enough sales. You're trying everything with marketing, it's not working. Sales are not coming through. You employed someone, you gave them the responsibility. Open this thing at 8 in the morning, close it at 5. One day they wake up, they steal the stock, they take everything. And now you have to deal with the police to try and recover what they stole. There are so many things. What keeps us going is hope. That earnest expectation that one day things will turn a corner. This business will be successful. You can't have hope without a vision. You can't be an entrepreneur without a vision. You understand this? So you are not purpose because you just want to wake up and feel good that you know what your purpose is. But your purpose is the anchor upon which your vision sits. The platform on which your hope is built. Are you getting this? Because if you don't persist in trying to discover what your purpose is, what's going to happen is you're going to give up. What's going to happen is when you have had enough, you're going to stop. When the children have all grown up and they're out of school, this business will be closed. Because you didn't know why you were in the first place. No meaning, no direction, no hope. Okay? So, you have to ask yourself, does what I'm doing bring me closer to what God has called me to do? Because that vision, okay, that you have, that's the reason why your employees will wake up every day, okay, and be in the office at 8 o'clock. Because when the people that you work with see you, it motivates them. You cannot lead any group of people to anyone if you don't believe in yourself. If you don't believe that you're called to do this thing, if you don't believe that you're in the right place. Are you getting this? No one will follow you. Employees will stay for the paycheck. You have a month of difficulties, no one will be in that office. But there are companies that have struggled, and for more than 5 months they failed to pay their employees, but none of them left. Not because they don't have anywhere to go, but because they believe that should we just turn a corner, this vision is big enough for me to dedicate my life. So you are not on this journey because you want to feel good. You're on this journey because it anchors everything that you're going to do with your life. It supports the motivations of the many people who are going to join you in this endeavor. That's why this is important. To be on this purpose journey of enlightenment, it's important. For every entrepreneur who is there, where they're sold. Are you understanding this? If your reason for being in business is just to be rich and make enough money, to get out of the present circumstances, okay? Everybody in your life will see that. Alright? You will stop paying the employees because you want to keep what they do. You will start shortchanging your customers because you want to keep your money. You will stop investing in service delivery because you want to keep the money. But everything that you are doing to increase your margins, to keep this profit, is affecting your business. The money that you're getting from your employees demotivates them. The money that you're keeping and not investing in proper service delivery will push your customers away. And this business will fail. So you're doing this to ensure longevity in what you are building. understands why they exist but struggles to see where they are going. The entrepreneur who possesses vision rooted in purpose carries hope that can endure disappointment, opposition, or delay. So, vision is therefore not simply the ability to imagine a better future. It is the grace to see that future through the eyes of God. Okay? So you need to ask yourself, is your current work moving you towards that future? That future that you believe God is calling you to help you create. Is your vision centered on personal success or on serving others? If it's centered on personal success, remember that and what happened to it. If it's centered on serving others, then know that God is not far away from that idea. Are you hearing this? You need to ask yourself what gives you hope when progress seems slow. Okay? In your company, things are going to be difficult. What is it that is going to keep you going? Once you've done that, then you are ready to go to the next step on the purpose journey of enlightenment. Turning that vision into work, which is the mission. Vision reveals the future we are called to create. Mission answers the next question, which is what assignment is God entrusted to me? Mission is the specific assignment or objective undertaken to accomplish a purpose. Okay? It is the specific work, responsibility, or assignment that God entrusts to an individual, organization, or nation to fulfill His purpose and advance His kingdom. If purpose is the foundation and vision is the horizon, then the mission is the road that connects the two. Are you understanding this? You start in this place. Okay? Where you have purpose. Alright? Purpose is encapsulated in a seed, or it takes the form of a seed. Remember the apple tree that we started with. The vision of the apple tree and its packaging of this seed is so that you can have a forest of apple trees. So how do we make this possible? We make apples that look good, that taste good, okay? That are big enough for people to share, so that when they share, our seed goes very far. Once that happens, we'll have a forest of apples. So the packaging of the seed is part of the mission. You understand? We need to produce better looking, better tasting fruits. That is the mission. How do you operationalize that? Are you getting this? Okay? Many entrepreneurs have inspiring visions but struggle to translate that into meaningful action. When you have a vision, you need to find a way of simplifying what you do. back to the mission that Facebook uses, which is to connect the world. You understand? To connect the world. Will you ever forget that? Mission statements that we have seen in town, in companies, when you walk in, it's a paragraph like this. Your mission must never be a paragraph. Are you understanding this? The mission of the Next Africa Entrepreneurs Fellowship is to empower entrepreneurs. Simple. Everyone who interacts with you, okay, must remember that to what? To empower entrepreneurs. What do we value? 3 things. Fellowship, purpose, enterprise. Everything about us we find it here. Fellowship is free here because we value it. I'm teaching purpose because we value it. I'm talking about enterprise because we value it. Why do we value these things? They empower entrepreneurs. Unless you have that clarity, and until you have that clarity, you will not be successful. Are you hearing me? The reason why you start with purpose is so that you can come down, alright? Clarify your vision, okay? Crystallize your mission, isolate your values. Because if those things are not clear, whatever you're trying to do will not be successful. Purpose informs what you see. Okay? What you see gives you the direction and informs how you're going to get there. And that is the mission. God does not reveal purpose merely to inspire us. He does not grant vision merely to excite us. He calls us into faithful participation in His work. Mission is the practical expression of that participation. Okay? So, many opportunities are going to come your way. Alright? How do you separate? It's not what? It's not simple. Number one, is this in line with my vision? No, it's not. Alright? Can I accommodate this in my mission? No, I can't. So your decision making is now clear. If someone comes here today into the Next Africa Entrepreneurs Fellowship to go and build an office in Latin America, okay? What would be my answer? No. Because that name is not by accident. We're an African institution. We want to do this here. We can work with others who are trying to do it in Latin America. We can compare and exchange notes. But we are not going to go there. No matter how much money you give us. Are you understanding this? Why? Because the mission is what? team. So, the greatest danger facing entrepreneurs is we are always pursuing attractive opportunities. Where is the money? It's in mining. I'm going there. Where is the money? These days farming. Farming is the in thing. I'm going there. Look at our businesses. These things that we call malls, you walk through every one of them, you find each and every one of us is selling the same phone. There's nothing unique about the business that you're doing. The branding is the same. Not even inspired. Some of them are not even branded. They're in Shop 26. They don't have a name. You walk around telling I'm an entrepreneur. I have a business in town. Where it started is the wrong place. But you are better because you have started. Are you understanding this? You are better because you have started. So you can actually go back and you can start making improvements. Because you have what? You have started. There are others who haven't started. You are in a better place. Go back and do better. Okay? Go back and do better. Go back and do better. What do you see? When you open the door to that very small shop, what do you see? If you see a place that's going to take your children to school, that's what it's ever going to be. If you see a place from which you are going to, you're sowing a seed to get to the rest of Africa, you will get to the rest of Africa. No matter how small you are today, the difference between where you are and where you're going to end up is what you see. What do you see? Are you understanding this? You know, I used to look at these churches and I would laugh. I would see it written, I don't want to say someone's name. You will see the church written, Faithful International Ministries. And it's just there, somewhere in Chicago, it's like International Ministries. Yeah! But when I started understanding this, I realized that the international was not put for me. It was put for the one who is building. Because they need to remind themselves every day that I'm international no matter where I am. You may look at me and think I'm small, but I'm international. Are you understanding this? So, sometimes we fail. Not because we don't know what we are doing. We fail because we are not thinking big enough. Our vision is just to provide sustenance to ourselves. But that will not take us anywhere. Okay? Even the name of your business. say something. If it's Magaba still fixers, you always be Magaba. Because you haven't accommodated growth in that naming process. Purpose informs that. Okay? Businesses exist to create value. This is something that I want you to know. Businesses exist to create value, but entrepreneurs are called to create impact. Okay? There are two different things. What a business does and what you do are two different things. How does your business create value? It creates value by turning a profit. It provides a service at a profit, and it creates value for those who have invested in it. Okay? But using that profit will create the impact. Are you getting this? So the nature of the impact that you're going to create will depend on how sure you are about your business. Alright? When you make money for the sake of it, we'll see. Money that has been made for the sake of it doesn't even care if others are suffering. Okay? Even at a funeral, you want to show people that we have made it. Someone dies and you're like, they will see me. Are you understanding this? Is that impact? No. Okay? So, you need to ask yourself, what is the primary assignment that God is entrusted to? And what are the daily activities that I must do that are aligned with that assignment? What opportunities are helping you get better at your assignment, and what opportunities are distracting you from your assignment? How does your business help you in creating the impact that you are supposed to create? And what changes should you make to better align your work with your mission? Okay? These are the questions that you need to ask. Purpose? Why was I created? Vision? What do I see that aligns with my purpose? Mission? What do I do to make this possible? Okay? If you believe your mission is to feed the poor, right? You are going to get into business to make money so that you can what? You can feed the poor. So you need to review everything that you do, and you need to highlight things that are mission critical. Okay? Then you also need to highlight things that are supportive to that mission. And lastly, you must highlight things that are distracting to that mission. Alright? You put your efforts on those things that are mission critical. Alright? You entertain those that are supportive. And you eliminate everything that's destructive. Alright? So, that puts us into the next step in the journey, which is values. Values don't talk about becoming a better business. Alright? Businesses on their own, they don't have values. They get values from the entrepreneur. Okay? So what you value is what your business will value. Okay? Mercenaries and soldiers, okay, when grouped in different groups, they all form armies. You take 100 mercenaries, you put them there, you give them all the weapons, they are an army. Fight for money, these ones fight for a cause. These ones fight for the highest bidder, these ones fight for a nation. They know where they belong. It's the same in entrepreneurship. We have mercenaries and we have soldiers. Mercenaries, the mercenary entrepreneur is the one who does anything that takes a profit. They don't have values. They value their own. And the soldier entrepreneur is the one who is mission guided. I am doing this because I want this outcome. Okay? Now, once you have done that, you have your values. Alright? What is it that you value? We value service. So if you value service, even if someone sends you a message at 9 p.m., you will not look at them like an inconvenience. You will be happy to assist. Entrepreneurs will be like, 8 o'clock? Who do you think is going to answer your phone at 8 o'clock? I'm not doing that. I'll answer you at 8 in the morning tomorrow. Because customers don't know how to behave. You think it's normal for someone to just take someone at 8 o'clock? No, it's not normal. I need to teach them a lesson. I'll respond tomorrow at 8. You're forgetting you set up that business with those clients. You're the one who actually went and you paid for advertising for those people to reach out to you. Now they're reaching out and saying, why would you reach out at this hour? Reach out when I'm in the office, when I'm at my desk. You don't value service, you don't value the client. You value things that you value. And the customer is now an inconvenience. Okay? If the mission is important to you, it takes what you value. Okay? So, you become a certain kind of person when you are mission driven. And this kind of person is the one that fulfills the demand of the assignment. But for you to become that person, you have to go back up in the journey. You have to know why you have to be this person. You understand this? You have to know why you need to be this person. So, every business is built by decisions. The decisions that we make, the decisions we don't make. And those decisions all come from the same place, from the things that we find. Alright? So, this is the step that Africa most needs, because we don't just need technically competent entrepreneurs. We need trustworthy builders. Okay? Who are guided by a value system that can accommodate the ideas and the ideals that we so desperately need on this continent. Okay? So we need a shared value system. Like I said, the next stage of Africa's development is going to be come when we learn how to collaborate, when we learn how to work together. Okay? But we can't work together if we don't share the same value system. If I'm saying no to corruption, and you are saying you can pay whatever is necessary to get the contract, we can't work together. Okay? We can only work together when we wake up and we say, this is the shared value system. So as long as I am dealing with him, I have an expectation of how he is going to respond when something like this happens. Okay? When an employee is injured at work, we're not going to start suing them for negligence, or to ask, why were they on that ladder? Why were they on that ladder? I know a company, an employee got injured at work. They had got a new machine. This employee was just passing through, and I don't know what he touched on that machine, and this machine removed the eye. Okay? And then the managing director, when he saw this, he took the guy, rushed him to hospital, and got him the medical care that he needed, and then they compensated the person. Just so that in case, because they now have a disability and they need this assistance. After they had done that, they assembled a board. This board was made of lawyers. And one of the board members said, we see that you made this payment of so much money. Yes, we did. Why did you pay that money? Because the employee had been hurt. So we needed to make sure that we correct this. Then he said, but does he not work in finance? He works in finance. So what was he doing with that machine? You're not supposed to pay him. Now, this is someone who is saved for 10 years. Okay? And the decision to compensate them is based solely on their position, where they were at the time that misfortune happened to them. Not what they have contributed to the company for all these years. So when you know what you value, you also know the people that advise you. Not everyone with a law degree is supposed to be your lawyer. Your lawyer must share your value system. Your advisors must share your value system. Facebook could have been sold for $1 billion to Google. If Mark Zuckerberg has not said no, I will say. The other people who have given him money will say, you need to sell now so that we get our money back. He said, no, I'm not going to sell. If it's your money that you want, let's find a way of buying you out. But I'm not going to sell. It's not every advice that you are given that you are supposed to take. Okay? Which values most consistently shape your decisions? What aspects of your character is God currently developing? What are you most tempted to compromise your values? Where are you most tempted to compromise your values? Would your employees describe your stated values and lived values as consistent? And what kind of person do you hope to become through your entrepreneurial journey? Your business will eventually reflect your character. So you need to build yourself with the same diligence that you build your business. Okay? You are not going to build a business that grows to a level above where you have built yourself. Do you understand what I just said there? Okay? Because when you build yourself, you build the capacity to manage the business. When you build yourself, you also build the capacity to handle success. Most entrepreneurs are actually killed by that thing that they wake up every day and say, success. The same success that you are looking for today will kill you if you don't get your values in check. Many people die because they bought a car. Just a car. The car changed the number of girlfriends they had. The car changed the way they spent their time. Just a car. Now, if God can trust you with a car that's carrying you, just you, and maybe 2 or 3 other people, can He trust you with a business that accommodates 100 people? You understand? So, you need to have a value system. I'll show you the difference. You may value honesty. Okay? So honesty is a value. But the principle is that truth builds trust. That's the principle. Okay? So the converse is also true. If truth builds trust, it also means deception destroys trust. So you need to value honesty so that you can keep the business going. You understand this? So those are what? Those are principles. If you value diligence, you are doing it because diligence produces better work. It produces better outcome. That's the principle. Okay? So Diligence is the value. The principle is the outcome that comes out of that diligence. Alright? So, values motivate us to live in a certain way. Principles explain how reality works. So, once you have these principles, okay? Principles such as truthfulness, justice, stewardship, service, faithfulness, humility, diligence, generosity, these are all what? Principles. When you're generous, people love you. Alright? When you're faithful and you can be trusted, people what? Love you. And when you value justice and fairness, people what? Love you. So a business needs to be in tune with those principles. Okay? Now, once you have done that, this then informs the procedures and processes that you put in place. Okay? Processes answer the question, how should the enterprise operate? Okay? That's a process. Who do we serve? How do we serve? Alright? And processes give order to the company. Alright? Order is the intentional arrangement of people, resources, and activities so that the organization fulfills its mission. And those same processes inform procedures which answer how should each piece of work be performed. So procedures is now going what? With operationalization of what? Of processes. Okay? Now, once you have those in place, then you have set in place everything that's needed for a healthy organization to produce sustainable results. Okay? And these three are important. Practice, performance, and profit. Okay? Practice answered, what do we repeatedly do? Things that you do over and over again, you become excellent at them. You become very good at doing them. So the outcome is what? Excellence. Performance answered, how well are we fulfilling our mission? Performance brings effectiveness. And profit answers the question, what value have we created? Its outcome is sustainability. And then the last one is legacy. The Bible says a good person leaves an inheritance to their children's children, not their children, to their children's children. Okay? So whatever you are doing, what benefit does it have for the children of your children? I give an example when I was saying that Africans, we work for our children and then we go to the farm. The reason why we are going to the farm is because we don't think of a generation beyond our children. Once our children are done with school, we want them to work and to take care of us. Your children are not supposed to take care of you. That is not scripture. Are you understanding this? It is you who is supposed to leave an inheritance. Not just for your children, but for your children's children. And the only thing that gives us the ability and capacity to do that is entrepreneurship. When we create value that's sustained, we're then able to pass it on to the next generation. Africa is poor because its companies are buried in the same graves where the founders are. Companies are not going to the next generation. They are dying with people that found them. We are not leaving an inheritance for our children's children. Not leaving our children. We are not doing this because we are selfish. We are doing this because of the level of enlightenment at which we are. So if we are going to transcend these current realities, what needs to happen is we need to acquire knowledge that lifts us above our present circumstances and shows us that there is actually a better and more profitable reality that we can bring into existence on our continent. Okay? We are not poor. We are just poorly equipped to function in the system that we have in this world. We are not prepared for the realities of the global economic system. And this preparation is important. That's why these formation meetings are important. That's why we need to be intentional about acquiring knowledge, about building ourselves. Because the generations that are coming us will thank us for it. What remains after? When you die today, what are you leaving behind? If the answer is nothing, if you have been asked that question after 10 years, what would have changed? To produce after our kind, after our image, and after our likeness. How are we improving that image? How are we improving that likeness? Are you understanding this? This is the question that you must ask yourself. Now, I asked you to ask a question when I started. Why am I here? And I say that question will lead you to your purpose. If that question doesn't help you discover your purpose, I'm leaving you with another question. When I'm gone, what will I leave behind? A house is not something to leave for your children. Because they were said 2 weeks after you died. But here in Africa, we say, I'm just going to build a house so that I can leave my children something. They'll say it. They'll live on the bridge doing that. And everyone will point out, those ones, they used to be very rich. You know the father? The father used to be very big. He was a very rich man. The things that you leave with the children are the things that they cannot touch. When we say to produce after your kind, we are saying the same level of information that you have, pass that to the next generation. The level of enlightenment that we have acquired, pass that to the next generation. Whenever you are going back to work. Find somebody that you can give a bit of knowledge, impact someone. This is the core of our fellowship class, where we're saying every entrepreneur must form a network. The same way that I'm sharing knowledge with you, share with another. The same way that I'm supporting your dreams and your visions, support one another. Because unless and until we start doing that, we will not make any meaningful progress. We will not make any meaningful progress. We can't continue depending on extraordinary individuals for our upliftment. We can't continue looking for messiahs and saviors on this continent. We need to realize that wherever we are, we're in our sphere of influence. You are the hope for your children. You are the hope for the community from which you came from. You are the hope for your city. You are the hope for your country. And you are the hope of this continent. Everything turns on you. When you decide today that I am changing and I'm going to become better, the continent becomes better with you. When you make a decision that I'm going to value better things, you increase the value of this continent. When you employ one person in your company, that's one person less likely to die in the sea trying to go to Europe. You have to get better. You are the hope of our generation. And the end couple is the next Africa. I said the next Africa is a destination. It's not an Africa that comes after this one. It's an Africa that transcends the one that we have. We can't continue being identified with poverty. We can't continue being identified with incompetence. We can't continue being identified with being lazy. When they call us lazy, it hurts. Because we actually work. Africans work hard. The only challenge is our level of enlightenment. Our work doesn't produce as much profit because we have not been taught. Can we go back? Can we go back and become better versions of ourselves? And become examples of what an entrepreneur can become. And we can only do that because we have reached a level of enlightenment that makes it impossible for us to fail. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are good, think of those things. think on those things. If I have succeeded in doing anything, can it be that I sowed a seed with the potential to grow and mature and produce after the kind, the new kind that you become. After the image and likeness of the God that created.